Hi. All right. I went to Ghana in August 2011. I went there for 3 weeks, and I flew there from Japan. I'm in Japan right now, and this is a beautiful view of Kobe. But I'm going to talk about my trip to Ghana, and I just made some notes here about just like some things to expect when you go to Ghana. Because these are some things that I didn't think I would have to deal with, but and I couldn't find a lot of good videos on YouTube, and I couldn't find a lot of good information about traveling to Ghana. So I thought that I would try to help some people out who are thinking of going to Ghana. And the things I'm going to talk about here, um, well, I don't have any bad intentions, or I'm not trying to say anything bad about Ghanaian people, but what I am doing is kind of just explaining the situation from a Westerner's perspective, and so I think you know that from that point of view, you won't see it as an insult or anything bad about Ghana per se. Um, so one thing that I noticed when I went to Accra in Ghana is that it was very dirty. Okay, there was a lot of like litter on the streets, um, a lot of trash on the streets, and there's big like ditches on the side of the roads. They're big gutters, and they're open, and there's like slimy green, brown water in them, and they smell like feces and urine, and there's trash in them, and it's just it's really disgusting. Um, and then sometimes very often actually I saw people going to the bathroom in these gutters on the sides of the roads. Um, what else? Oh yeah, when I went to Accra, one thing that surprised me was that as soon as I got out of the airport, um, it was amazing, but I saw, people, especially a lot of women, walking around with, big containers or plates on their heads, and just walking, carrying these big, large objects on their heads. And like, you know, I've seen like National Geographic and documentaries about Africa before, but somehow it didn't strike me that I would see this in Accra. I thought Accra was like a really developed city or whatever, but no, it's right there in Accra. Um, and I thought that's something that I would see like in the, really the really rural areas of Africa or something. But it was quite common and very interesting, and that was one of my wonderful experiences about traveling to Ghana, was seeing that. Um, Also, when I went to Accra, a lot of people offered their help, especially men. They would just, on the street, they would come up to me. They would ask, where I was from, where I was staying, and they told me if I needed anything, they would help me out. And when I first got to Accra, um, I thought, wow, these people are really friendly. Um, and the way they approached me was in a very friendly manner. But actually, I'd say almost everybody, except for one guy I met, every guy who approached me, uh, what they wanted was they did want to help me out, but they also expected some money in return. Um, and they would often say to me like, "You're my brother, you're gonna be my brother till I die." So they make me feel like I was their friend, but then like they're expecting some compensation. So I kind of want to do things by myself, and I didn't want to be like a tourist. Even though I needed help sometimes, I didn't feel like paying anybody to be my tour guide. So I just kind of closed off those contacts and relationships as soon as possible. Um, oh, another thing like that was interesting to me is the handshake. Like when you meet somebody, a man or a woman, it's like it's kind of hard to explain because there's not two people here, but um, you shake their hand, and then when you pull away from the handshake, you snap your finger against their middle finger, so your two middle fingers snap. Um, and I thought that was a really cool and personal way to greet people. Um, Another thing to expect is to get sick. I mean, get really sick, like vomiting and diarrhea. Um, the food tasted good. When I looked at it, it didn't look dirty, but man, did I get sick. I mean, I got really sick. And I'm actually going to talk about this more in a different video, but just to briefly give you a heads up, I expect to get sick in Ghana. And okay, another thing is the customer service. All right, so Ghana doesn't really have like a big tourist infrastructure. Um, I saw tourists there, but it's really kind of, sparse in terms of services for tourists. And when you go to hotels and stores and you're taking taxis and trotros or buses, don't expect any kind of like customer service. Like, don't expect people to bend over backwards for you or to be polite. Like, they just don't have that sense of customer service. And I'm not saying that the Ghanaians are bad people. It's just that that's not part of the culture yet. I mean, if you go to somewhere like, well, here in Japan, the what is the word I'm looking for? The sense of customer service is very high. People who work in this service industry here are very enthusiastic about providing great customer service. But in Ghana, that kind of sense just doesn't exist because they don't really have, like I said, they don't have a big tourist infrastructure there yet, and there's not a lot of tourists going there, and they haven't quite realized that they can actually, make a lot of money from tourism. But it's going to happen in the next 100 years or so. And then finally, one thing that kind of shocked me and that you should expect when you go to Ghana and Accra is that there's really no stores there. Not the kind of stores that you're used to in the United States or in Europe. It's just, and Accra is the biggest city in Ghana and the most developed city in Ghana, but besides for a few, select, maybe foreign-owned supermarkets, there's no stores like you're used to in the West. People just do their businesses out of like a container, the kind of containers that are carried on the back of trucks and trains. They set up a shop in a container, or there's like a little hut, and they usually sell like canned food, dried goods. They only sell like usually one thing. Like this hut sells fruit, this one sells vegetables, this one sells canned goods, this one sells sunglasses. So don't expect to like be able to go shopping and go to stores and stuff, because you won't find it there.